this is a war. It is a war against life. And unless we start to reframe these things for ourselves, and I'm not saying it's easy, I think it's difficult. I'm finding it difficult and challenging, hand up to that. But it's being honest with the reality. And if we continue to sort of like sugarcoat the reality, I mean, I wish, you know, we didn't have this time constraint. And then we could be, yeah, you know, maybe it's not, you know, maybe there's no climate change, there's no COVID, there's no breaking down of the ecosystems. So we can just sort of, you know, we've only got the sort of like billions of animals that are being killed every single year to deal with. And that's one massive thing. But that is not the reality. The reality is something completely different. And we're acting a lot of the time and thinking as though, you know, so there's an endless amount of time. I know I do it myself, you know, I do it myself. So that's what I'm saying is, do we need to be a bit more like, I know it's difficult, but people do make sacrifices, you know, in extreme situations. Is this extreme? For me, I don't even know for me. I ask myself this question, what Declan said about, you know, if people are a bit older or whatever age actually, you know, maybe they should be sort of like thinking about what they should be doing, perhaps, you know, with any financial resources they may have. How seriously are we taking it? I think we need to have conversations more about this. And as Roger also sort of like mentioned, again, the capitalist neoliberal system, is that reformable? You know, because just last point, when the whole, you were talking, Roger, about, you know, Boris bringing in what appeared to be sort of socialist policies. I mean, crystal clarity is they weren't doing it for the people. They were doing it to basically prop up, you know, the economic system in the future, i.e. now, right? They don't give a monkeys about sorry, I don't know if that species is, but they don't care at all about the people, as their policies continue to show. They're merely trying to prop up the economic system, the capitalist economic neoliberal religion that they are part of. They're at the top of the, you know, power hegemony, and that's all they care about, themselves and their ilk. So
yeah, I agree with that. Obviously, it's, you're right. It's just interesting that they were forced to bring in policies that they had previously argued vociferously against. Is there a non-specialist way of giving a monkeys, Jeremy? You might know that. But in relation to the revolving door, the answer to that is going to be very complex. And we probably all know people who were campaigners and now not, for a whole variety of reasons. But it is a movement issue. And in relation to finances, I would say, rather than, you know, a handful of activists selling their houses and that kind of stuff, we need to sort out the funding structure of the entire movement. The entire movement has got an incredibly kind of skew-if way of funding itself, and so we've got some power structures now. We've got a bunch of very rich corporations in the movement, and we now seem to have a bunch of very rich entrepreneurs in the movement. Now, you know, the fact that they're holding the majority of the funds of the movement is, it seems to me, a major problem in terms of what Declan would want to do, what Jake would want to do, what Ronnie Lee would want to do, which is all grassroots focused. And the grassroots, as usual, are always starving and scraping around, you know, to keep their vehicles on the road, to pay the tax and everything. Whereas other people seem to be swimming in Barbados every now and again. But you've also got a lot of money tied up in these massive corporations. It's not a structure that is sustainable, and it's certainly not a revolutionary structure to do that. I mean, that's a capitalist structure in itself.
Yeah.
You know, that you kind of get all these power centers, and you've got a power elite within the movement. Well, you know, the first thing we would do if we're really serious about revolution is revolutionize our movement and get rid of all that and get the money out there on the streets and into the pressure campaigns wherever it's needed. But it's not needed in people's bank accounts.